Hi guys, welcome back. So it's that time again. It's England player ratings for England versus Italy this time. Now what I do is I give a thumbs up for a particularly good performance, a thumbs down for a disappointing one, and then a verbal description. I don't give a point score out of 10 because it creates more problems than it's worth. So let's get into it. Ellis Genge at loose head. Now this guy, he's a class act, one of England's best players, and I think one of the best loose heads in the world. Some people think he's a little bit too overhyped, which is fair enough, but it's a good performance again for him, often integral in his carrying and his handling. Indeed, he set up Chesham for a really good score with nice soft hands, and he's consistent at a high level. So I think he is a really good performer. Depends how good you think he is, but I think he was a thumbs up in this game yet again. On to Jamie George. Now, this game played to his strengths. There were lots of mauls, lots of line-outs, and he nailed all his throws and he controlled the back of them all really well with his experience. That's something he can do very well. Athletically around the park, he's okay, but he's not quite as quick or as athletic as other hookers out there, so that just limits him slightly, but a reasonable performance for him. Carl Sinclair at the tight head is slowly playing his way back into form, and this was a better game, I think, than last time out versus Scotland. Very solid scrummaging, looks back up to speed, and I say he's reasserted himself as the first choice tight head. Now, someone who had a particularly poor game versus Scotland was Maro Itoje, and he was on a bit of a mission today because he knew he was poor last time out, and this was one of his best performances of recent times. He was one of England's biggest hitters in defence, really manhandled people, disrupted the ruck, disrupted them all. That's what he does. Yep, he's a bit more bulky these days, and he gave me lots of great comments saying he's played a lot of rugby, he's bulked up, he barely misses a game for club, for country, for Lions. So I do hope he gets some rest at some point because, he could be in danger of kind of chronic fatigue, overtraining, that sort of thing. But he really put it in, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing to sub him off towards the end of the game as he tires, maybe with the likes of Ribbons on the bench, but England haven't done that yet. But this was a very good performance, certainly in the beginning of the game, so a thumbs up for Maro Itoje. Well done him. Now, young Ollie Chesham was one of the star performers in the last match versus Scotland. In this match, he made some early errors, that is true, but it's clear to see his athleticism. He's got the bulk to mix it. He's a lighthouse in the line-out. You can see his class, and I think he is the new second row that England desperately needed, although he wasn't absolutely on fire in this match. But he definitely adds that bulk to the scrum as well, in behind the tight head. He's just going to get better and better. Not quite a thumbs up in this match, but a decent showing. Now, someone who I am giving a thumbs up to is Lewis Ludlam. Again, one of England's star performers, playing that role of enforcer blindside with the big tackles, the big carries, relentless work rate. He's upped his size certainly in recent years, but he's still got the endurance, which is key. Looks quite integral already to Steve Borthwick's side, so big thumbs up for him. And another guy I'm giving a thumbs up to is Jack Willis. He was class. It feels like Borthwick maybe wanted to start him last week, but he was playing in France, going backwards and forwards, so he couldn't. But my God, he looks like a class act. He's got that clamp-like tackle, which is hard to get away from. Lightning quick on the jackal, hard as nails, loves the dog work, a real test match mentality. A little surprised he was subbed off early, but maybe he's not fully match fit. Maybe I'd prefer to see him stay on and maybe Ben Earl go to 8. But big thumbs up for Jack Willis. Now, Alex Dombrandt is an interesting one. He was a little fortunate maybe to be given a second chance after a poor game versus Scotland. And it looked like he was trying to show he could mix it physically at this level, and he largely succeeded in that. But then, his key thing is his handling, his lines, which we didn't really see. So it's hard for him to get the balance right, but he was all right, I think, in this game, although he's going to have to impress a bit more if he's going to keep his place. On to number 9, into the backs, Jack van Poortvliet. A solid game for Jack van Poortvliet. It looks like he's learning on the job, still a little naive at times. I think the skill and the ability are there, but he needs to gain as much experience as quickly as he can before the World Cup if he's going to keep his starting spot, but I think he's doing enough at the moment. Now, for the first time for ages, we saw Owen Farrell play fly half where he plays for Saracens, and I'd say he's a steadying influence on the team, certainly compared to Marcus Smith, and he's clearly better at 10 than 12. Very strong in defence for a fly half. kick pretty well, very experienced, so he makes fairly low errors. He doesn't quite take it to the line as much as other fly halves. He's not quite as manipulative to defences as people like Finn Russell, for example, but a strong performance, and I think his best for a while. Now on to the first thumbs down of the game, and I'm giving it to Ollie Hassel-Collins, not because he was bad as such, but just because he was virtually anonymous, didn't get involved. Is that his fault? Was it the fault of England's backline not moving it wide effectively? I don't know, but he's just got to get his hands on the ball if he's going to keep his place in this team, because at the moment he's just not getting involved enough, so he has to be a thumbs down, unfortunately. Now there's a lot of Ollies in this team, but Ollie Lawrence was a big thumbs up, man of the match performance, showed exactly what England are missing, dented the Italian line almost every time, gave them that launch platform they haven't had from the centres, since Tuolangi was maybe at his best, maybe in the World Cup was the last time we saw that. He made one clean break virtually from nothing, but got the ball dislodged, and to be fair, that is something he could tidy up on. He does wave the ball around a little bit as he carries it, watching him for Bath, so yeah, maybe he could be a bit more secure with the ball. And it was a good effort in defence, and he was sandwiched between two experienced backs in Owen Farrell and Slade, so I think that worked really well. He can also do other things and offload, which we didn't see at this game, but what he did do was quality, so big thumbs up for Ollie Lawrence. Now Henry Slade at 13 looked very comfortable, showed you don't need two 10s to have a second playmaker, kicked very well, didn't really spread the ball well too much, and the whole backline didn't actually open up too many gaps, so that's something they're going to have to work on altogether, but looked very comfortable in this game. Max Malins is interesting. Now first of all, let me say I really rate Max Malins as a rugby player. He's a really, really clever rugby player. Good to watch. He's kind of a fly half who can play back three. He's one of those players who maybe doesn't even have a position. Not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes he'll look great, like with his ghosty running. He made stuff from nothing, sidesteps, passes, but then he does look a bit, paper thin in defence. Sometimes players can run through him, make good ground. So some games he'll look good, some games maybe he won't. So I don't know if he starts every game, or maybe he plays as a number 22 covering fly half, or a number 23, and maybe England could play a 6-2 split because Malins could cover fly half and back three. I think that's something they might need to think of, but no, a good game for Malins, always involved once again. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to give Freddie Stewart a thumbs down, again not because he did anything particularly wrong, but he was pretty anonymous in the game, a bit like Ollie Hassel-Collins, especially when you compare him to Kapawutsu, who was playing for a team that wasn't playing that well but still creating all sorts of chances in attack. He had one chance to attack a cross-field kick from Farrell, but seemed to get his timing all wrong there. No reason to drop him, but certainly outshined by other fullbacks we've seen in this tournament, so with his ability I think it has to be a thumbs down. Then into the subs, some of which we didn't see too much of, like Jack Walker, so I can't really judge him. Mako came on, Dan Cole came on, and well, Mako, he's not really known for his scrummaging, he's known for his dynamism around the park, but he's just not got it anymore. So it's a little bit embarrassing in a way when he comes on compared to other loose heads in the world at the moment. So not his fault, but surely there's a better loose head in England, so I am giving a thumbs down because he just came on, even when he was fresh, was slow in the defensive line. So yeah, not a great impact I would say. Now on to Dan Cole, and it's interesting, it's a bit like that situation where you've got your local amateur club, they've got a good first team, but occasionally they need to call up that grizzled old veteran prop to do a job in the scrum, call them up from the thirds or the vets. They suck up their lack of mobility because they need a job in the scrum, and that seems to be basically what Dan Cole is doing. So those prop replacements for England, yeah, they're a bit ropey. Definitely not a thumbs down for Cole because he did come on and do well in the scrum, but him and Mako together is a bit of a slow combo. Nick Ezekwe, well, he's done fine, but it's a bit weird how they've used him. They've brought him on into the back row, which is a bit weird when maybe Maro Toje should be replaced and get some energy in the second row, so I don't quite understand how they're using him. But anyway, yeah, fine. Now when Ben Earl comes on, he gives loads of energy, really quick around the park, made some key tackles actually, some good involvements, but I think Jack Willis showed why maybe he is a starter over Ben Earl, but is there a place for both of them starting? I don't know. Onto the replacement scrum half Alex Mitchell, a bit of a breath of fresh air, having a dynamic, dangerous running scrum half on the bench. And it worked really well because the Italians were tiring, so when he sprinted across four of them, he committed the fifth, freed up Arundel for his try, Probably wouldn't have worked at the beginning of the game, but I'd say a thumbs up just for that, because that was very creative. Now, I know he wasn't long on the pitch, but I am going to give Marcus Smith a thumbs down, because what I did see, what caught my eye, was one grubber kick that was charged down that put England in a bad spot, and a couple of very weak tackles. Just shows his weaknesses. However, I still would like to see him start at some point with that centre lineup, but what we did see wasn't great. Henry Arundel didn't have a lot of time, but he scored his obligatory try. Probably could have got another if the ref had played advantage for a knock-on, but England just need him to start somewhere and give him some decent time on the pitch to cause havoc. Anyway, guys, that's my rating. That's my views on England's performances in that game against Italy. Let me know if you agree, disagree, pop all those comments below, and I'll catch you next time.